Hello and welcome to Digitize Stockholm 23. My name is Masoud and I'm a postdoc at KTH, and I'm here to present the project name Digitalization and Educational Transformation, Empowering Students and Teachers with Cognitive Disabilities. In this project, I work under the supervision of Jan Gullikson and Anne-Catherine Peters, both from KTH, Stefan Johansson, Arnold Pierce, and Katarina Jonsson are the other individual helping us in this project. Well, we can summarize this project into two keywords, and we are doing this study to answer three research questions. Namely, in the first one, we simply ask how can cognitively disabled easily access engineering education. In the second one, we are looking for models to make engineering education more inclusive and sustainable. In the third one, we are zooming in on the role of digitalization for better engineering education. We believe that in our project, we are tackling with the SDG goals and targets. The SDG 4 is known as the queen of the other SDGs for its impact and influence. So it's a pretty important one. And our project contributes to its goals and targets, especially those that promote equal access for higher education or ask for elimination of all discrimination grounds in higher education. But let's look closely at instances of cognitive disability or people identified as neurodivergent. Now, I wonder how many acronyms or diagnoses are familiar to you in this slide. Do you know anything, for example, about dyspraxia or bipolarism? These are all considered cognitive disability, and as we learn about them, we want to know more about their impact on education. So at the start of the project, we had a problem of defining cognitive disability, and we soon discovered that there are more than a dozen terms and labels for cognitive disability. For example, neurodivergent, as I mentioned earlier, or others that you can make here yourself by picking one from each column and put them together. But not much like retarded or other derogatory or insulting adjectives like retarded or wrongdoing. And so as there was no agreed upon definition for us to start the project with, we tried to explore the literature ourselves. We ended up writing and presenting a paper to better understand cognitive disability, and we came up with a conceptualization for it, showing that depending on the reference point or departure point, whether it is a brain or personality or psyche, we end up in different understanding of what normal is and how intellectual illness, for example, low IQ, is different from cognitive disability, and how cognitive disability is different from mental disorder. Another problem for us was the models that attempt to explain cognitive disability. There are a number of them, and since our research project was all about models in education, the second research question, we started studying them one by one. Medical models are the most dominant ones, and they see problems within individuals, whereas social models sees them out, like the problems out in society, and does not They do not include the individual in the responsibility of designing solutions, at least not much as we see necessary in the project. And why models are important, you might ask? Because models have this close relationship with the way we approach design, and they also shape our assumptions. For example, medical models, they see cognitive disability as some kind of a defect or impairment, and they try to cure or fix it by ignoring the context or support system that is around them. And they fail to help with solution in education and employment, whereas we believe a social model is the total opposite. And these two models contribute to the two famous frameworks that we started initially investigating them in this project, namely DSM-5, which is predominantly used in US, and ICF, which is used in by WHO. They both help with the common language for cognitive disability. But we saw in our studies and during our later investigations that these models and frameworks do not help much, and we are missing some nuances about some of the diagnosis. Ultimately, wondering if there is a world outside these two frameworks, and can we do without these two frameworks? So we started our project with the paper, as I mentioned, and we also identified 3 interest groups that we believe can provide with a broader perspective and also the nuances that we needed on all the concerns and challenges. We have students and teachers, at least with one diagnosis, and we also have the caregivers, like, and the personnel that provide support. Why these 3 groups? Because they have this unique views, and they can help us get closer to the issues from a certain vantage point. And as you can see in this pie chart, the cognitive disabled students are almost 90% of those who need support, which is almost 10% of all students. But we are certain that in STEM, the numbers are much higher, but we don't know the exact number. And we don't know about the experiences of prospective and passive students either. So we also know that there are unregistered cases for different reasons. And we certainly don't know nothing about the experience of teachers and other staff members at university who suffer from cognitive disability. And we also know that the experiences of the people who provide support are very important and full of insights. During our analysis, we soon noticed that the overall experience can be categorized in different ways. Digitally, we can think about them in digital terms, in digital domain, or in physical domain. For example, this professor told us that he calls his brain butterfly brain, and he says that when he took this role as a director of studies, he has so many problems. Or a student told us that she was dyslexic, and she said that she faces lots of problems using digital tools, especially when she is supposed to collaborate with other classmates. Yeah. In the second phase of the study and our analysis, we eventually want to reach unique views and aggregate these views about cognitive disability and then structure them into such tables that you see. And in order to compare and contrast them with the general conditions that these diagnoses have, and compare them with the ones that we see in our study, and see how they are different, and what is unique with the university context, and then write up the insights about them. This project means to inform design first and foremost. The teacher education, we want to inform HR and all other personnel that who provide support. And we want to contribute to disability studies or long life learning literature and social sustainability literature. We want to come up with best practices, especially for design students, to give them some guide and guidance about how to design for cognitively disabled. We want to help teachers with the best way to cope with the cognitive disability during teaching. And we also want to help HR personnel with the most and the best effective ways to help teachers as well as students. I thank you for your attention, and I would like to end this presentation with mentioning about a book back in 16th century by Erasmus, who praised and admired cognitively disabled for their unique potential. Thank you very much.